Hey everyone, MB here with a very quick review video of a very obscure Japanese film that a lot of you guys are probably never going to watch and a lot of you guys have never even heard of. This movie is called KujiraGami, which translates to Whale God. Like a lot of Japanese films made in the 60s, it has this very dreamlike and poetic quality. It lays out this very, very simple story to explain the two key words in the film's title. And beyond those words, these two things. Why Japanese people love whaling, and why most Japanese people do not believe in God. I watched this film a while ago when I lived in Japan, but it's relatively available to watch in bad quality on YouTube, which is where I'm getting most of these clips of it from. A lot of people I've heard consider this a kaiju film, but Whale God is really just a movie about a larger than average whale. Now, Akira Ifukube does do the score in this one right after he had done the score to the original Godzilla. And the score he lays down in this film just treats everything happening with utter reverence. And that's something that you would otherwise experience out of his later works. So this movie attempts to tell a very simple story in its 2-hour runtime. Here's the nuts and bolts of the story boiled down. The movie takes place in Japan, approximately the year 200 AD. The ancient Japanese saw the ocean vibrant and full of whales, and they believed at this time that those whales were gods. Because at this point in history, let's face it, a human being gets into a direct fight with a whale, the whale is going to win. So anyway, at first the people of the fishing village are living in harmony with the whale. But if I had to take a guess, I'd say the fishermen overfished the local waters. Either way, the once plentiful bay is now devoid of fish, which then directly led to the whales getting angry at the lack of fish. And since the whales were angry with the fishermen who overfished the area, the whales then proceed to kill the fishermen. And thereby, we now reach the dawn of Japanese whaling. See, after the whale had killed enough of the fishermen without taking any damage to itself, the townsfolk became divided into two groups of people. The first group was like, that whale is God, do not fuck with it. And the second group was like, we don't care if it is or is not God. It has killed too many people, so we must kill it. And if it is God, then we must kill God. And then since there's no fish because either the fishermen are dead, or either way they're just not bringing back the fish, more and more citizens change their opinion to, well, we're starving now. I guess God's our enemy now. It's God's fault that we're dying. We really do have to kill God as soon as possible. So the fishing village essentially after this debate declares war on their God. And many, many men get together and they die trying to take the thing down. But finally, one lucky man manages to climb on top of the head of the whale god and succeeds in murdering it. And then after that, the starving village devours the god that they had been worshipping for centuries before this. It was 200 AD, and in Japan, God had been killed. The people got so sick of his shit that they up and ate him. And 18,000 years later, Japan is the most prosperous atheist country in the world. That's the thematic arc of this movie. I think that is powerful and I think that is beautiful. Now, the actual movie itself is otherwise an old black and white film. I'd love to check out an HD restore of this film because all the versions I've ever seen of it have this kind of murky, hard to decipher look at it. Also, I think the whale in this film is maybe a puppet. Sometimes it looks like a real whale, but sometimes it really doesn't. This Whale God movie has never been remade, but the timeless story underneath it is just kind of begging for it. I mean, when you really think about how it lays out the relationship between whaling and atheism in Japan, I think there is a really compelling story there. And this was the one time that people tried to tell it. Alright, that was my story for the day. I'm the Mute Buster. Do you want me to be more serious and philosophical? Hey, did you know I used to make the show 8-Bit Philosophy? Well, I don't anymore. Anyway, subscribe!